Okay, welcome back, dear students. After Eid break, after mid break, I hope that your mid exam has gone very well. We are now resuming our regular weekly teaching of Java contents. So, in this video, I will try to complete thread priorities as well as thread synchronization. Just a quick overview. We started with multi-threaded programming, and before Eid, we discussed about multi-threading concept. We discussed that thread is a part of a program, and multiple part of program can execute concurrently. They can execute in parallel. We also discussed about process based and thread based multitasking. Process is a kind of complete program. So when multiple programs are running concurrently, you call multi-processing or maybe process-based multitasking. But when your program has got multiple parts, sub-parts of a program, and if they are running it concurrently, we call it multitasking by using multi-threading. Uh, in Java's thread model, we discussed that uh, we can have many alternates of multi-threading. A thread can be in multiple states, in running state, in ready state, in suspended, resume, block, terminate, sleeping. Eh, we have seen many of these states before the Eid break. Um, we talked about thread priorities. We'll discuss them more in detail today. Uh, we discussed about preemptive and non-preemptive thread scheduling. When threads are having equal priorities, we discussed about the round robin approach. Then thread synchronization, we will discuss it in uh, very detail, and we will also do multiple examples of how monitor concept works in Java. Um, we talked about runnable, we talked about thread class, we talked about the main thread, and we also learned how to create a thread either by implementing runnable or by extending from thread class. We saw what is the importance of run method. We also learned how to create thread by extending from thread class, and as I discussed you which approach to follow, either to implement interface or to extend from thread class. I think we already had a lot of discussion on that, and then we also saw many examples of multiple threads running concurrently. We also covered is alive and join method. Is alive will return you true if a thread on which this method has been called is currently running. If it is terminated, then it will return false. And join method, if you are calling on current thread, then current thread will wait till the thread on which you have called join method has ended. We have already seen a couple of examples. So now I strongly recommend that if you in the Eid break forgotten few things from multi-threading, then I would recommend that you watch my previous videos from multi-threading and to just refresh the concepts. Remember, you really cannot grab all the contents of this lecture if you have not covered previous lectures of multi-threading. So please, if you need to review the previous contents, you should watch the previous videos. Thread priorities. I think I have been telling you continuously that priority of a thread actually is a relative number, and that number by default is 5, and max is 10, and min is 1. So if you are creating multiple threads and if you are not setting priority for them, then by default their priority is 5. It means all threads have got a kind of normal priority. We call it normal priority, which is 5, a kind of average priority. But if you set priority 10 for a thread, it means you are saying that this is high priority thread. And if you are setting priority 1, then you are saying that this is a low priority thread. But remember, if you set priority for a thread 10, that does not guarantee that your thread will get chance of execution before other threads, because that also depends on how operating system is behaving. I mean, some of the operating systems are preemptive, others are non-preemptive. Preemptive means if say for example a thread is running which is low priority thread, if a high priority thread is in the ready state, then low priority thread will be kind of suspended because there is a high priority thread which is now in the ready state. So in that case, if your operating system is following preemptive scheduling, then this thread priority really matters. If you make it 10, then really your thread will execute because it is the thread with the higher priority. But if scheduling is not preemptive, operating system says no, I won't follow this thread priority values, then it will ensure that a thread which is running, if it is not sleeping voluntarily, then it will make sure that thread completes its execution. So non-preemptive scheduling of operating system, thread priorities hardly matter. Right, but nevertheless, if you want to set priority for a thread, you will call set priority method over the thread and passing any integer value from 1 to 10. Default value is 5. And if you want to get priority of a thread, then you will call the get priority method. We'll see some examples. After priorities, we have got thread synchronization. I think I discussed thread synchronization concept when we started multi-threading. You remember when we discussed this thread synchronization in this slide. We also discussed about monitor concept. Remember, when multiple threads are running concurrently, then there is always a danger that data corruption might appear. I think I gave you one example that if one is producer and other is consumer, in that case, if say for example producer is too fast, then consumer might miss some of the values to be consumed, and if consumer is too fast, it might consume same value for multiple time. So when such is the relationship between two threads, if they are kind of dependent on each other, and we want to make sure that one thread should complete execution before the start of another thread, then we must ensure that they are synchronized with each other. For example, if I say I have got maybe this is simple notepad file, and then I open another notepad file. Now see here, I'm saying that this file is where producer is going to put values, whatever values it is going to write. For example, it write 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And what this consumer has to do, he has to consume value one by one from here and copy in, say for example, another file. Now if say for example producer which is writing in this file, if it is too fast, consumer will read only latest value. So if say for example producer says 1, consumer copies 1, okay, then producer writes 2, consumer copies 2, okay, then when producer writes 3, consumer consumes 3. But if say for example producer is a bit fast, he writes 4 and 5, and then when consumer comes in, he actually sees 5 because he will always consume the latest value. So you can consider the previous value will be overwritten. So when he comes next time, he sees 5, he says okay, it means after 3 it is 5, and then this comes and says 6, and this consumes 6, right? And then maybe if this is very slow and he has not still kind of written anything, and he comes back and sees the 6 as the latest value, then he says okay, 6, it means that this time consumer is faster than producer and he actually consumes same value twice. So you can see when two threads are bound to each other's execution, then this type of data corruption can happen, where producer might produce faster than consumer, then consumer might miss some values. Like in this case, we produce 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but this consumed 1, 2, 3 and 5. 4 was missed because consumer was a bit slow. That is the reason why it never knew that 4 was also produced. In other case, when consumer is faster, you can see here it actually consumes 6 2 times. So you say that when threads are bound to each other, we need to synchronize. We need to make sure that one thread completes execution and then another threads come to start its execution, and until the second thread has completed its execution, the first thread should not resume its execution. So we need to synchronize them. Now this concept of synchronization is very much tied with the concept of monitor. We say in operating system or in programming, monitor is something what you can consider the box. So we say if someone is in the box, then other cannot enter into the box. So in that case, if producer is already inside the monitor, if it has acquired the monitor, then consumer cannot do its execution, because everything which producer is producing, it will be inside the box. So if inside the box there is already producer, then consumer cannot enter. In that case, consumer will have to wait. Now when producer releases the monitor, it means when he comes out of the box, then consumer can enter into the box. So this way we can be absolutely sure that producer and consumer will be fully synchronized. Now we are sure that unless producer completes its execution, consumer cannot consume, because both of them are working on the same box, and that box, we in programming term we call it monitor. So we say that this monitor can be associated only with either producer or with the consumer. If producer is using monitor, then consumer cannot use the monitor. It has to wait until the monitor has been freed by the producer, and vice versa. So this concept of obtaining lock or obtaining box or obtaining monitor is actually done in Java by using synchronized methods. Right. The synchronized method is a kind of the concept of monitor. So if a thread is calling a synchronized method on an object, then no other thread can call same method unless the previous execution has been completed. Right. So monitor concept implicitly in Java is implemented by either using synchronized method or by using a synchronized statement. Let us see first one example of synchronized methods. This time remember I have started using IntelliJ. You can use NetBeans, you can use any IDE which you want, but I now think that you people are in your project phase, so it is better to use some IDE. Till now, for these 4-5 months, we have been using Notepad and command line, but now I want to make your life easier, so I can now recommend you to use IntelliJ IDE, which I am using, or you can use NetBeans, or you can use Eclipse, whichever you consider easier for you. But I am using IntelliJ because I like it. I used it for my many other programming tasks, so I like this IDE the most. But not necessary that you also like this IDE. You might also use NetBeans or Eclipse. Now in this example, see here what I have got a class call me. Now inside this class I have got a method call. What this call method is doing, this is just printing opening bracket, and then it sleeps for 1000 millisecond, and when it comes back it actually closes, and in between it is going to write this message. It means that whatever message it receives from here, first of all it will open the bracket, then write the message, sleep for 1 second, 1000 millisecond, and when he wakes up he actually closes it. Right. Now deliberately in this program we are creating a need of synchronization. So here you can see that we would like, in order to have a message displayed properly, we would like that first opening bracket, then a message, and then closing bracket should be displayed before any other is going to call the call method. Right. Now see how I'm going to call this call method. Here I have got a thread. You can see I have got a caller, a class caller, which implements runnable. Now because it implements runnable, you know that it can act like a thread. Now inside caller I have got a message that I will be passing to the method call, and then I have got a target. This target is actually a reference of the class call me. On target I will actually be calling the method call and passing this message. And then thread T, as you know that because we are implementing runnable, so we have to instantiate object of this class by using a thread class. Now here I have got the constructor. Inside constructor I will be accepting object of call me and a message. Then I say target is equal to target. I mean my this target equal to target, and message is equal to is whatever I receive here. Then I create thread by passing this reference. If you do not understand this statement, you need to refer my previous lecture. This is how we create thread. And then I call t.start. When you start a thread, it goes into the start state. It means that it is ready to be executed, and as soon as CPU will have some time for this thread, it will call the run method. Right, you don't need to explicitly call run method. It will be automatically called when you call start method. Right, so when you call start method and when CPU gives time, your thread will be executed. And when this thread is executed, run method will be called. And inside run method, we are doing nothing. We say target.call and we are passing the message. Right, when you pass message, you know that this call method will be called. It will print this opening bracket, and whatever message is received here, it will display the message, and then it goes for the sleep for 1 second. And when it wakes up, it is going to give the closing bracket. Right, now here see what happens. Inside main, I have created object of call me, which has got this call method. And then I'm creating 3 objects of my thread, the caller, object 1, object 2 and object 3. To the first caller I'm passing target, to second caller I'm passing target, to third caller I'm passing target. And it means that I'm passing same object, right? And each time I'm passing different message. First Sher Mohammed, then Imran Khan, and then Time Alicia, just for fun, right? And then here you know that join method means that we would like that this main thread should wait for the end of obj1, the object 1, the thread 1, then thread 2, and then thread 3. We said that unless these threads are completed, your main thread should not end. You know that when all these threads complete, then main thread will complete. Right, now you can really foresee the problem. You know that when we instantiated OB1, constructor has been created. It is going to start the thread, going to call the method, going to call the call method, and when this method is called with the message Sher Mohammed Daud Pota, you know that opening bracket Sher Mohammed Daud Pota, our expectation is it should also give closing bracket, but the problem is it goes for sleep. And when it goes for sleep, at that time CPU will decide that okay, if OB1 is sleeping, I should give some time to OB2. When the opportunity is given to OB2, this will again call the method call with the value Imran Khan. It means this time it will have opening bracket, it writes Imran Khan, and then Imran Khan also goes for sleep, right? And then third time we actually call the Qaim Alisha, again that opening bracket Qaim Alisha, and then it goes for the sleep. It means that kind of all these 3 calls will produce output like this: opening bracket, message Sher Mohammed Daud Pota, right? And then because before this closing bracket, this first thread goes for the sleep, it means that we go for the second thread, and second thread again says Imran Khan, right? And when it goes for the sleep, we again have this third method, which is called the Qaim Alisha, right? Qaim Alisha. And then that when Qaim Alisha's thread completes its execution, the previous thread of Sher Mohammed Daud Pota will get opportunity. By that time it would have woken, so it will give this closing bracket, then closing bracket for Imran Khan, and closing bracket for Qaim Alisha. Obviously this is not the output that we want. Our method should give output like Sher Mohammed Daud Pota. It should be like this, then Imran Khan, and then it should be Qaim Alisha. But because threads are not synchronized, because threads are not waiting for each other's execution to complete, this type of data corruption is taking place. Whole the message is completely unexpected because thread is going to sleep, right? So let's execute it. When I run this program, in order to run in IntelliJ, you install IntelliJ, you will have this type of environment. where when you create a new project, and inside new project you can go for Java, and then JDK, whatever version you are going to give, then next give the name. It's a very simple thing. I know you can do it. Right. Okay, now I want to execute this program. Then right click on run. The main method is inside sync, and you can see the class name is sync. So this says I want to execute sync because the main method is inside sync. So you can run it, and when you run it, it will actually display output here. So you can see the output is Qaim Ali Shah, then opening Imran Khan, then opening Sheikh Mohammad Dawood Putta, and then closing all these. So you can see in a way the output is a bit unexpected. We really did not expect that this will be output. Maybe second time when you run it, you might have different output, because how threads are getting time, it depends on the CPU. So you can see now Sheikh Mohammad Dawood Putta, Imran Khan, and Qaim Ali Shah. If you run it third time, you might have different output. So you can see every time threads are sleeping, awakening, so the resource should be synchronized. I mean, the call of this call method should be synchronized. Right, we understand that when call on this call method is not synchronized, unexpected output is appearing. It means that this method should act like a monitor. This method should act like a monitor, which means that if some thread is calling this method, then others should not be allowed to call this method at the same time. And in Java, you need to do nothing. You just need to use synchronized method. And if you want to convert a method from ordinary method to synchronized method, you just need to use keyword synchronized. Right? It means that now call method is a synchronized method. It means that if OB1 is calling call method on target, it has obtained lock on the monitor. It has obtained lock on the box. It means that when OB2 comes to call the call method on target, it cannot, because still the execution of OB1 has not completed. So at that time, your runtime environment will say to OB2 that please wait, because you are trying to call method with the value Imran Khan. I cannot call it because the execution on OB1 is still running. Until the execution on OB1 completes, I cannot give you permission to call method on OB2. It means that if a synchronized method is called on the on object, then another thread cannot call that synchronized method on the same object. So in this case, this call will be completely synchronized. So even though when you called with the value Sheikh Mohammed, this thread went for the sleep, and when OB2 came for calling the call method with value Imran Khan, your JRE will not allow it. JRE will say wait, even though that thread has gone to sleep, but I cannot give you opportunity to call the call method, because call method is synchronized. If I allow you, then there are chances that data corruption might take place, as you have already seen in this example. So in that case, though this thread will execute with some sleep time, it means introducing some delay, but it will ensure that the outcome is as expected. Right. So now you will see that the output will be what we are expecting. So this time when I run it with the synchronized method, Sheikh Mohammed, Qaim Ali Shah, Imran Khan. Right. So you can see here, opening bracket, Sheikh Mohammed, it went for sleep, but it did not give opportunity to Qaim Ali Shah. He said wait, let the thread come back and give the closing bracket, and then I'll give opportunity to the next thread. So you can see in this case the output is pretty much expected. The output is pretty much fair. We thought that it should be opening bracket, then name, and then closing the bracket, but without synchronized, this was not happening. But now because threads are synchronized, it means that we can have the expected output. I just summarized the concept of monitor in Java is actually nothing but synchronized method. Whenever a thread is calling a synchronized method, It is kind of obtaining lock on the monitor. No other thread can call same method unless execution has been completed by the current thread. And when current thread completes execution, then another thread can call that synchronized method. It means that in a way we are going to ensure that synchronized method is called only by one thread at a time, because if that is not the case, then data corruption might take place. Right, so this is how synchronization works by using synchronized method. We will do more examples with that. I'm sure you have already seen a couple of examples in your lab part as well. I stop this lecture here, and when I come back I will be discussing how to use synchronization by using synchronized statement. Because you can see here in this case I had access to the call me object in the call me class, but if I do not have access, I cannot make it synchronized. Then what? Say for example, if this source code of this class is not available to you, then obviously you cannot change the source code. Then how to obtain lock on this object? We can do it by using synchronized statement. So I stop this lecture here, and when you come back I will be talking about synchronized statement or maybe synchronized blocks. Thank you very much.